Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the House of Ways and Means. Today we're going to be talking all about compliments. Are they important? Do you want them? Do you need them? Can your relationship survive without them? I mean, it depends on, I guess, what the partners want. I mean, me personally, I don't need compliments. I really, less attention the better for me. I just like to keep my head down, stay out of trouble.
I am not a glutton for needing validity from my husband. However, if I see him validating other people, I definitely want to be validated, because if you could do it for other people, then you should do it for me in a relationship.
Okay, so it sounds like they're not that important to you either. So what about when one person needs compliments and the other person is not really the complimenting type? I'm not the complimenting type, but I also haven't dealt with a lot of people who are really needy for compliments. So, what would you say would be a happy medium in something like that if you were to see a couple like that in therapy?
I have seen a couple in therapy where the one partner needed validation, but it was more so that the partner A wanted validation, but partner B presumed that the validation partner A wanted was due to there being self-esteem issues. And partner B felt that partner A just needed to build up their self-esteem. I understood where both parties were coming from. I think it was a misunderstanding of what was going on, and sure, there may have been some self-esteem issues on both sides. However, partner A really just wanted an opportunity to feel important, and to feel. Sometimes some people need an attaboy, like a good job.
Yeah.
Well, the point is that some people like, positivity in order to fuel continued positive interactions.
So it sounds like one party was refusing to give compliments just on principle because they felt like the other person didn't really need them. They just needed to solve the underlying issue.
Right.
So is that the right approach, or is that just being a jerk?
Again, I understood where partner B was coming from, and I think that what was happening was that it was a mixture. There were some self-esteem issues that existed. However, the partner A still needed that validation, and I felt like if it's something that partner B could have given, why not provide it? If it's not gonna kill you to do something that will help your relationship be stronger, then why not put that extra effort in? It's not a huge deal.
So, I think this can be something that comes down to, a few videos back we talked about being unequally yoked. So, you make it to a certain point in a relationship. I think one party knows and the other party knows what it is that they are into. So, I think this can also tie in with like love languages. If you need a certain thing, you continue to go forward with the relationship, and the question is, do you need it, or is it just a nice to have, or is this something that can potentially ruin a relationship? If you desire and need attention and to be told about how...
Why are you using the word attention? Why is the word attention being used when we're talking about compliments, giving a compliment or providing validation?
Isn't that the same thing?
They're not the same thing, Jude. There's a difference between someone who just wants attention, who just wants to be seen and heard, and someone who wants to be validated. We are in a society where people love to critique. They love to talk about all the negative things that are wrong, but they can't, it's almost like it grinds their gears to say, oh, well, you did that poorly, but you did shine in this area, or you did this well. if you could give a critique, and if you think a critique is something that's necessary, then validation is also necessary when it comes to communicating with people. And if you want to say that a compliment is attention, then critiquing someone is also attention, but they're not.
So, I mean, if it's not a foundational issue in a relationship that can survive, then what does it look like long term? It sounds like both sides are just going to have to sacrifice in some way. And this is presuming the party who's not giving enough compliments, it's just not in their nature to do so. And the person who needs positive feedback, it's in their nature to need it.
Sure. I mean, I feel like there are different levels to this. There's someone who, they put a whole bunch of effort into getting dressed to go to a nice affair. And after all of the hoopla, they come out, they were like, oh, you look nice. After all of the work that they did. There are people who need that. Then you have those people who, everywhere you go, there must be a compliment. Every picture that's taken, there must be a compliment. Every time you go out in public, it always has to be like a big to-do. Oh, babe, I love your shoes in front of other people. Like, that is where it kind of creeps into attention-seeking behavior. And that's how you end up having women who are, they come off as very needy because they need, whether it's affection or they need attention as far as like compliments given. But the reality is that, men are just as needy, just as attention seeking, and getting or wanting a compliment isn't, to me, it doesn't reach the severity of attention seeking. It has to be, it's like on a spectrum. Wanting a compliment after getting dressed for a huge event versus, someone who is always seeking a compliment and always seeking this and that. Like, it's two different ends of the spectrum. We're talking about two different things.
I think the other end of the spectrum, that's actually, you're talking about two ends of one side of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is the person who spends just as much time getting ready for this important event. And when they get done, they just know they look good. They don't need anybody to tell them. They don't need anybody to, give them a compliment or shower them with praise. It's just like...
What? And no one says anything about showering with praise.
Okay, but the person on the other end of the spectrum sees it that way.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. The person is just confident in the way that they look. They have positive self-esteem.
But I don't think a person who wants compliments is not confident. I think they're just self-assured. They give themselves their own compliments.
So then, are you saying then it creeps into them being cocky?
Because I think a cocky person could still like compliments. A cocky person just is in your attitude more so than anything else. It's not necessarily a matter of where you fit on the compliment needed or the positive feedback needed spectrum.
Okay, fair enough. Say I am all over social media paying this guy a compliment on this guy a compliment on that, going, giving all these compliments to dudes, and you're doing the same thing or better, and I don't pay you any compliments. Would you be affected by that? Would it bother you at all?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm not somebody who needs compliments. And I'm also not going to be trying to find what you're saying to other people on social media. To me, but that's a whole other issue. I guess for me personally, the way I view social media, I don't treat it as real life. I think a lot of people do. Maybe that's, more so indicative of my age group and, how we grew up without social media, or maybe I just didn't let it creep into my, psyche as far as its importance and where it falls, as far as its meaning, I guess. Because a lot of people think that social media is real life, and I'm not criticizing that viewpoint. It's just, to me, it's in a matter of environment, but I don't know. It's not something I check for in the sense that it would lead me to be offended about what is going on there. I mean, to me, social media is like church, right? You see people, you see them once a week, you give them a nice smile, you give them a hug, you give them, whatever, but it doesn't mean that you're flirting with that person, in love with the person, trying to date the person. It's just kind of surface. It's not like real. So, I mean, I wouldn't care, because at the end of the day, if we're in a relationship, I see you daily if we're married, or all the time. We're the people going out together, making plans for the future together. Like, all that stuff is, it's not real.
I agree with you to some degree, as far as social media being fake in a sense. I disagree a little bit, only because I know that the things that I post, it's all real. So whether my hair is done or not done, whether makeup's on or not not on, like, my social media are moments in time of things that have actually occurred in my life, or things that are currently occurring in my life, because that's the way that I treat my social media. I know other people, social media for them is pretty fake, it's very pump and circumstance. And so for that reason, I understand your point, and that makes sense. I don't necessarily think that a woman that gets upset by seeing her partner, like another girl's picture or whatever, I don't think that it's an indication that she thinks that he's going to leave their relationship for that person. I just think that it's a matter of, it could feel like, or more attention given to someone else than attention given to the relationship and to the person that wants that. And I think that a lot of couples that I've seen have issues with social media and pictures and who's commenting and all this stuff, because there is a clash of understanding of the purpose of social media, how it's being used, what's said and how it's interpreted, and then how all of that impacts the relationship. And if the person that is impacted by it, if they have a conversation with their partner about it, and the partner ignores or dismisses how that person feels, then to me, that's an indication of that partner feels like they just know better and it doesn't matter, and that their partner's feelings don't matter at all. And then that's when you start having true issues in the relationship, and when social media and stuff can affect relationships, because there's always one party that always think that these interactions are not a big deal, and in the grand scheme of things, they probably aren't. But when you begin to dismiss people's feelings, then people feel invalidated. They feel like what they think and what they feel and their thoughts aren't important, and it can bleed into other things in the relationship, or other interpersonal relationships that the individuals may have with other people.
So that's part of the reason I stayed off of social media. I mean, Facebook came around in 2005, 2006, and I started to see, I didn't get on, and I started to see friends of mine having relationship issues, talking about, this happened because this girl said something to this girl from high school or college or whatever, and I just was seeing all these stories and hearing all these things happening with my friends, and none of it was good. So I was just I'm okay. I don't need to get in there if what's gonna come out is just gonna be all this additional high school level drama. I can just do without it. I do miss out on some information that gets passed around, because people can't find me, but it doesn't bother me too much. But I'm not that type of guy who would be too upset if I miss something that is important to a large group of people. I mean, I'm not going to miss out if my mom passes away or something. that information will get to me without social media. So, I'm not going to miss anything truly important by not being there. my viewpoint.
Okay. Well, interesting feedback. I think this was an interesting topic. I think it bleeds into other topics of things that we should probably talk about in a future video. But for right now, we are going to end this video here. So thank you so much for watching. And if you like this content, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And don't forget to ring that bell. And thanks so much for watching. Have a good one.